good morning, afternoon to everyone, depending on where you are. So it's a great pleasure to host Dr. Akane Sano for MD2K webinar. She is an assistant professor at Rice in both departments of electrical and computer engineering, as well as in computer science. She works in human sensing, data analysis, and application development for health and well-being. She has been working on developing technologies to measure, forecast, understand, and improve health and well-being. And in particular, she has worked on predicting stress, mental health, sleep, and performance, and designing systems to help people reduce their stress. So some of her visible projects, they include the SNAPSHOT Study project, the Eureka project, and the mPerf project. She obtained her PhD at MIT Media Lab with Dr. Rose Picard, and obtained her master's and bachelor's from Japan at Keio University. And before joining Rice, she gained some more valuable experience working at Cornell with Tanjeem Chaudhary. And she has some industry experience as well. Before she came to US, she was a research engineer at Sony Corporation. So we have known Akane very closely. We're working with her on the mPerf project, and so it's a great pleasure to have her talk at the MD2K webinar. So with this, I would turn over the mic to Akane.
Thank you very much, Santosh. It's my great pleasure to hold this seminar, and yeah, thank you. So I joined mHealth Training Institute last year. And also I participated in the mPerf project. Then that was great experience. So today it would be great if I could share our research experience in mobile sensing and data analysis and modeling. And it would be great if I could share what we learned, also some software resources we developed for our studies. So my research is about mobile health and affective computing. I'm very interested in developing technologies to help people improve their health and well-being, especially in mental, emotional health and well-being. So we have been working on developing ambulatory human sensing using wearable and mobile devices. Also, we have worked extensively on machine learning algorithms to how can we measure and predict people's feeling, mental health and stress, etc. And we are also developing applications to help people improve health and well-being. So today I'm going to talk about our project about mental health, stress, and sleep. And I would like to introduce some of our latest project about performance and cognitive ability as well. So this slide shows you how our well-being is changing over the time if we have a lot of stress. So everyone can be starting from here. Everyone could have very positive well-being at the very beginning of their life, or however, if we have a lot of stress, and some people can stay resilient and they can stay positive. However, unfortunately, that's not everyone, and some people might decline their well-being, like this red line. And today I'm going to talk about this yellow zone. And the main purpose of our research is how can we help people whose well-being is declining, like red line. And so we aim to forecast people's well-being from mobile and wearable sensing, because we are interested in measuring them in their daily life setting, and provide personalized intervention, like personalized warnings and suggestions, so that they can prevent disorders such as depression. And we are interested in developing this kind of personalized feedback system. So we have the sensing modules using mobile, wearable, and other type of human sensing measurement to collect raw data and then to compute marker, physiological and behavioral markers. And using those markers, we'd like to infer and we'd like to predict like how our well-being, how our health condition will be as a trajectory. And we'd like to also understand what is causing your well-being status. And after that, we are developing like intervention systems using like micro interventions or that provide like low effort and low barrier suggestions. So our studies are focusing on the following populations. And so I have been working a lot on like active college student and office worker populations, because even though they are active and they might look like very healthy, however, a lot of people, a lot of college student and office workers are exposed to very high stress and low mental health condition. And based on our data set, for example, more than half of college students are suffering from high stress, and they have sleep issues, and about like 25% reported regular sadness, and majority of them unfortunately show lower mental health than average. Our recent studies are also focusing on mental health patient populations such as schizophrenia patient. Also, one of the latest project I'm going to talk about at the end of my presentation is targeting shift workers and people with social jet lag. So in our study, we leverage multimodal data collection. That means we capture various kinds of data sets from human, including personality type, physiological signals, behavioral signals from sensors, as well as we can also measure environmental signals such as weather and social interactions. Because we believe that these kind of multimodal signals are very important to understand our health and well-being. And we have been working on we have been working on to understand how can we take advantage of daily life data from like mobile and wearable devices to enhance people's health and well-being. So recently we have a lot of mobile and wearable devices on the market, and it's getting relatively easy to collect 24/7 of the model time series data. However, it's still challenging to interpret the meaning of the data and how can we use those data for helping people improve health and well-being in real time. That is the still biggest challenge. And so that is what we are exploring in our research. And next, I'm going to talk about our study, our observational study we have been doing since 2013 called SNAPSHOT Study. This is an NIH-funded study to target, to measure sleep networks affect performance, stress, and health using objective techniques. And in this study, we take advantage of this wearable mobile sensing ambulatory measurements with laboratory measurement to get like long-term and large-scale data from college students, 30 days each in each cohort. So since 2013, we run this study every semester to get about like 300 college student data, including like sleep, physical exercise, activity, and light exposure and stress, autonomous sympathetic nervous activities, as well as phone usage, including SMS, phone call, conversation, logs, and mobility patterns from GPS, etc. And using this kind of data set, we have been working on developing machine learning model to predict mood and health, and also developing interventions to reduce stress and improve health well-being. So when we run this kind of observational studies in people's daily life setting, actually it's not that easy to collect high quality of data. So we need to develop tools to run this kind of studies effectively and collect high quality of data. So in our study, we developed some systems that automatically checks data, like validate data during data collection. So including, we need to check whether sensors are working, because sensors and phones could be broken during the study. So if our data coming in is not working well, we have to let our participants know, and we have to, switch with new devices. Also, our participants sometimes lose their motivation to keep joining the study. So in our study, we keep collecting surveys, like self-reported answers from our participants. And so we need to, sometimes we need to let them know that, their survey answers has some errors and they have to fix them. And so this automatic data quality checking is very crucial in our observational study. And then it could take a lot of time for us, like researchers, to run this kind of study. So our system automatically checks data quality and send notifications, automatic notifications to researchers as well as study participants if data is collected well or not. Another challenge we have in our observational study is our data from mobile sensors and wearables could be very noisy, because we are just keep collecting the data 24/7. That means the data comes from when they are moving, doing exercise, and etc. And so we need to figure out like which part of the data are artifact or not. And this is one example, but so we developed machine learning algorithm to detect skin conductance artifact automatically. So skin conductance is one of the physiological signals as an index of automatic sympathetic nervous activity. And so on the right side, you can see the example of skin conductance. So usually we have this kind of very slow response. And so skin conductance measures micro sweat on our skin. However, whenever we have some artifact from movement and sensor get broken, we get this kind of noise in our data set. And of course, we could apply digital signal processing signal filters to remove some of the noise. However, it's not perfect. So we've developed the binary machine learning classification model to detect artifact. So we collected skin conductance data from laboratory studies with some artifact. And then we collected some annotations about which portion of the skin conductance data has artifact from professional researchers who has a lot of knowledge in skin conductance. And we computed features such as like time frequency domain for 5-second epochs. And then we developed this kind of binary classification model that automatically tells us which portion of the data has noise. And you can access our source code for this project here from this link. So another issue we have is missing data. So as I said, the sensors can be broken. Sometimes our participants forget wearing sensors, forget filling out surveys. those everything cause missing data. And there are some methods, fitting missing data with mean and median. Those are very conventional methods to fit interpolate missing data. But we also applied a deep learning method to impute missing data, missing sensor data and survey data. And for this project, we use this autoencoder, which is one of the deep learning neural network model, and to impute missing data set. So originally, this kind of autoencoder was used to fit in image data set, but we applied this technique to our time series sensor and survey data. And so what we found is if we have a lot of missing data, this kind of deep learning based imputation is very effective. However, if we have very small amount of missing data, actually the performance of machine learning model doesn't have much influence from missing data. And we still fitting missing data with mean and median could be equivalent to autoencoder missing method. So next, I'm going to talk about how we analyze model our data set. Basically, today I'm going to talk about two modeling projects. One is about daily mood and stress prediction, and the other one is ambulatory sleep detection. So here I'm going to show one example of our 30-day well-being self-reported happiness, calmness, alertness, energy, and health levels, health data from our participant. And you can see on the left side, you can see this time series data from day 1 to day 30. And this is a grand average over about 50 participants in one cohort. And here we can see, for example, on the weekends, like Friday, Saturday, Sunday, people are much happier and calmer because this data comes from college students, and they have no schools. And I also want to introduce another example on the right side, and this is data from one participant who unfortunately was hospitalized due to mental health issue during the study. And you can see a lot of ups and downs from this data set. So we analyzed, we looked into our mood data. And so here is the plot about x-axis averaged mood, happy, sad mood, versus y-axis with mood variability, standard deviation of mood. And after we applied clustering method, we found these three clusters, like red cluster, black cluster, and blue clusters. And we can see this kind of trend. So that means people with sad average mood exhibit higher variation in their mood. And what we have been very interested in about mood is, can we predict person's mood and stress tomorrow or in the future using up to today's data based on like. So what we have been doing is like using 7 days up to previous 7 days data from surveys, physiological signals, phone usage, and mobility data, and can we predict people's mood and stress in the future? And for this modeling, we used about 1,231 days from multimodal data, including a lot of features, about like 400 features from surveys, physiological signals, smartphone, and mobility patterns. So after we applied, artifact detection, and also we impute missing data, and we computed these features. And another challenge I want to emphasize and mention here is, so at the beginning of the project, we focused on developing only one big model that could possibly fit everyone. However, as you and everyone can imagine, we have a lot of individual differences in daily behaviors and how people feel. For example, what makes one person happy or stressed might be very different from what makes other people happy or stressed. So we have to look into this kind of individual differences and how can we model these individual differences in machine learning tasks. And so one of the machine learning model we used for our project is this multitask learning. And multitask learning is one of the machine learning algorithms that trains models specifically for individual participant, but still taking advantage of data from everyone. And we have tried several different machine learning, multitask learning algorithms. And what we found is compared to conventional non-personalized machine learning model, this multitask personalized machine learning model can boost performance of predicting mood, stress, and health. Also, some of the multitask machine learning models could automatically give us some clusters of participants. That means we can automatically identify like subgroups of participants. And for example, here, this algorithm automatically clusters participants into 4 different groups. And we can see different behaviors, different characteristics contributing to their mood. For example, like cluster 2, they are showing this kind of like pre-sleep in-person interaction and positive social interaction. Also, some phone usage are contributing to mood. However, other clusters, such as cluster 0, they have much higher contribution from exercise to mood. So what we learned here is this kind of personalization is super important to understand, also to predict people's mood and health. And we are also extending this work using some deep learning method. And here we are using long short-term memory neural network to predict tomorrow's stress condition using data from today to past 1 week data. And what we found is this LSTM models works much better than conventional logistic regression and both vector machine. And the previous examples were all based on like binary classification. So we were predicting people's like mood or health or stress condition in a binary, like high or low classes. So we are now extending our model into continuous regression models because our labels come from 0 to 100 scales. So we want to predict more fine-grained people's mental health and mood conditions using this kind of multitask linear regression models and also multitask LSTM models. And so far, we got about 12 to 14 mean absolute errors. So next, I'm going to talk about ambulatory sleep detection. And in our snapshot data, we also focused on like sleep and circadian rhythm because these sleep and circadian rhythm affect our well-being, mood, stress, and health. And here is one data analysis from our data. And on the left side, I'm showing how our regular sleepers behave in this 30-day data. So you can see this graph. This graph is showing when people go to bed and wake up. And these black blocks are showing when people are sleeping. And x-axis is midnight to midnight on the next day. And y-axis is like days from first day to 30 days. And on the right panel, we are showing the sleep behaviors from irregular sleepers. That means these people go to bed and wake up at irregular timing. So you can see very irregular sleep patterns compared to the left panel of regular sleepers. Then we analyze how this sleep regularity affect people's well-being, and controlling for like gender, sleep duration, and stress score at the beginning of the study to estimate a causal effect. So what we found in our analysis was people with irregular sleep behaviors have statistically lower mental health and morning happiness and morning alertness and morning energy levels. So next I want to talk about sleep detection algorithm. And motivation behind this project is, so when we measure sleep clinically in the hospital, we use this kind of polysomnography system with a lot of sensors, including like EEG, brainwave, motion, like heart rate. And however, this is not practical because especially for long-term home usage, if we want to monitor sleep for a long time, we can't really wear these sensors every day. And another gold standard to measure sleep in sleep studies is this actigraphy and sleep diary. Actigraphy is a wrist-worn device with accelerometer and that captures our movement during daytime and sleep. And in a lot of sleep studies, people combine this actigraphy and sleep diaries to get accurate sleep behaviors. However, this is also not that practical, especially for long-term use, because we need to put a lot of significant effort from users to maintain accurate diary, like filling out sleep diaries every day, and also researchers have to check whether their diary entries are correct or not every day. So that's why we have a great need to develop automatic algorithm to measure sleep like in everyday setting with less burden on users and researchers. So for this project, again, we use our data set from our SNAPSHOT project, and this includes about 5,500 days of multimodal data from wrist sensors and Android phone. And so some data includes physiological signals, skin conductance, skin temperature, and acceleration. And we also captured phone usage, including phone call, SMS logs, screen on logs, also mobility patterns. And then for our labels of sleep and wake, we used human-scored actigraphy with sleep diary. So this is a grand truth of our sleep. And we have two tasks here. One is sleep-wake detection, and the second task is after we detect sleep-wake episode of sleep-wake, we will also want to detect when is the onset and when is the offset of sleep. So we want to find out the beginning and the end of the sleep automatically. So today I will focus on the first part to simplify my presentation. But if you're interested in, please look at our recent paper published this year from IEEE Biomedical Health Informatics journal. So we computed features from skin conductance, acceleration, skin temperature, and phone usage. We also use time as index, as one feature. And for modeling, we use this bidirectional long short-term memory neural network model. And this is one of the deep learning models, and with good dependency of like long-term data set. And so what we want to do here is we want to detect sleep or wake. So we want to calculate the sleep probability for every minute using like previous 30 minutes data and future 30 minutes data. So here we decided to use previous 30 minutes and future 30 minutes data because, for example, if our participants use their phones, like sending their SMS in sometime here or sometime in the future, then that means probably we will have higher likelihood of that participant waking up at the current stage. So that's why we decided to use this kind of bi-directional models. And so we compare our LSTM model, bi-directional LSTM model, to other conventional machine learning models, like neural network, logistic regression, and SVM. And what we found here is our LSTM models shows much accurate results in detecting sleep and wake. And we compared different combinations of features, and we found the combination of acceleration and skin temperature and time features is the best feature. And so this skin temperature, ST, helps distinguishing like sleeping and being still while people are still awake. And so this helps giving us like better performance compared to using only acceleration feature. So we look into our model and when our LSTM model works and when neural network fails. And what we found was, if you look at this figure, so if we have very stable signals for previous 30 minutes and future 30 minutes, both neural network and LSTM model works. However, if we have this kind of abrupt change in our signals, this is like acceleration data. And in this case, only LSTM model works, and because this LSTM model can remember the previous behaviors or future behaviors that we have like stable acceleration data. So we also compared participant-dependent models versus participant-independent models, because in practical applications, we always need to accommodate new participant data. That means we need to care about the accuracy for participant-independent models. And what we found here is we have very small differences between these two models, 0.5% accuracy difference, and that is equivalent to about -6 to 7 minutes sleep-wake detection error per day, 24 hours. So this shows that our algorithm is very robust in real-world person-independent applications as well. So as I said, we use bidirectional LSTM models, including the previous 30 minutes and future 30 minutes, to detect current sleep conditions. However, we also tried this real-time LSTM implementation. Think about like real-time usage. future data, having future data might not be ideal because we need more computation and we also need future data. Then, so we compare this real-time LSTM implementation with bidirectional LSTM models. And we found, again, we have a very small performance difference between these two models, 0.2% to 1%. So this means, so if we want to develop applications for like medical or scientific purposes, which requires much better performance, we might want to use bidirectional LSTM models. However, still this real-time LSTM implementation works very well in other purposes. And we also compare the length of the data. And so as a default, we used like previous 30 minutes and future 30 minutes to detect sleep condition at current minute. However, why is this 30 minutes ideal, and is it better to use like shorter data? And so we compare the data length from much shorter, from 30 minutes to 30 minutes. And what we found is our accuracy actually kind of stabilized around 30 minutes. And so we concluded that 30-minute sequence is appropriate choice. And so sometimes we get questions about our algorithm is really applicable to people with different kind of sleep behaviors, because some people have short and some people could have longer sleep duration. So we also evaluated our models for different individuals with different sleep duration. And what we found here is our sleep detection algorithm accuracy was very stable across different participants with different sleep durations from like 5 hours to 9 hours. So far I was talking about data collection and data modeling for like college students especially, and but some of the latest our project like focused on patient population. So I want to a little bit introduce our symptom prediction digital phenotyping for schizophrenia patient. This is a project with a collaborative project with Dartmouth and Cornell and University of Washington, and then we collected the data from schizophrenia patient using mobile phones. So our data includes their physical activity, acceleration, app usage, phone usage, phone call, SMS, screen on. Also, we captured ambient sound and light and speech and conversation, as well as sleep. And our purpose of this project is we want to predict patient symptoms, and also we want to detect relapse. And so we have been trying computing different features, including some basic statistical features. To recently, we are focusing like more interpretable features, including some rhythmicity related features. And we are aiming to develop personalized model, because especially this schizophrenia patient, they are very heterogeneous. That means each participant might be showing different symptoms, and also their symptoms might be changing over time. So we are implementing interpretable features and also modeling, because ideally we want to provide some useful information to clinicians and also patient, so that clinicians can make a better decision in treatment. Also, patient can make a decision in their behaviors in their daily life setting. So lastly, I also want to introduce some project about improving well-being. So here is a project we developed. Here is a project about the application, micro-intervention, stress intervention application for office workers. And in this project, we developed a desktop application that provide micro-intervention for stress and sleep, diet, and exercise. Micro-intervention means they can spend only like few minutes, like also 10 seconds, 20 seconds to try some, for example, like exercise, breathing exercise, or some relaxation exercise. So in this project, this is a like closed loop system. So we captured office workers' behaviors using wearable sensors, mobile phone, and also we captured how people use their desktop machines to understand when is a good timing to provide this kind of micro intervention. And also we predict what is the most effective intervention for each individual. So another project was we developed this open source automated single case experimental design platform. So this platform can help us to do a self mini experiment to find optimal behaviors. For example, each individual can try different mini experiment to find, for example, like optimal sleep durations to get better productivity. Or so using this kind of platform, participant users can customize mini experiment and then try find optimal behaviors to get better health and well-being. And you can also find the source code for this platform from this URL. So far, I talked about different projects we have conducted for mobile sensing and also prediction and also providing intervention to help people with health and well-being. And as a next step, we are of course interested in combining these like, separate modules like sensing, inference, and interventions, and to make a personalized feedback real-time system. And here is the latest, one of the latest our project. And in this project, we aim to develop embodied intelligent cognitive assistant to enhance cognitive performance and well-being for shift workers. So we are developing technology for targeting shift workers, including medical residences, medical professionals such as nurses, doctors, firefighters, and also people who are suffering from social jet lag. So people with shift work, that means people have to switch their work shift from daytime to nighttime pretty frequently, and that could disrupt their circadian rhythm, their biological clock, which is a clock running in each individual's body to regulate like heart rate, sleep patterns, etc. However, shift workers, even though they are not traveling, they are not crossing like time zone, they are suffering from like jet lag in their daily life setting because they have to switch this daytime shift, nighttime shift very quickly, and that could affect their performance. For example, they could feel very sleepy during their work, even though they have to focus and they cannot make mistakes. And also this kind of circadian rhythm disruption also influence cardiovascular and mental health issues in long term. And so other than this shift workers population, people with very irregular schedule could suffer from social jet lag. So even though they are not traveling and even though they are not working with shift, some people, especially young generations, could suffer from social jet lag. So in this project, we are developing the technology to support this kind of shift work population as well as people with social jet lag. And this is a collaboration project among Rice, Cornell, and UMass Amherst, funded by NSF. And in this project, we are aiming to combine like sensing module and inference module and intervention module to develop real-time feedback loop system for shift workers. And in sensing module, so we leverage mobile and wearable sensing as well as non-contact physiological and behavioral sensing systems using like radars to capture our physiological and behavior markers such as physical activities and locations, work hours, social interactions, many bike. And using this kind of markers, we are developing machine learning model to detect circadian rhythm, as well as fatigue and alertness and mental health conditions. And then using the output from inference model, we connect this inference model to intervention model to provide personalized, effortless interventions. So some of the interventions include light, because light is one of the strongest influencer to our circadian rhythm. And we also are thinking about adapting some tactile or visual feedback to regulate our arousal and stress, including respiration rate, respiration patterns, and heart rate. Also, we are developing some more actionable behavioral suggestions, for example, about like sleep behaviors or some exercise. So this is a 3-year project. We just kicked off this September. So in year 3, we are combining this sensing module, inference module, and intervention module. And we deploy our system at Texas Medical Center in Houston and study the effectiveness of this system for medical residencies. So lastly, I want to share some lessons I learned from various mobile sensing and analysis modeling project. And the first one is, it's very challenging to maintain good quality of data throughout the study. And so that's why it's very important to develop tools to, for example, check the quality of the data and the status of our participant, and to allow participant and study investigator to run this kind of study more efficiently and effectively. And second one is, it's also another challenge to maintain our participant motivations. So in our study, in research phase, we could make payments to our participant. But if we think about the real applications, of course, the users need to get some benefit from using this kind of systems, And then we need to design the system to engage our participants, our users for long term. So it's very crucial to think about how to motivate our users. For example, by providing like short-term rewards from data visualization or insight into their data from analysis and modeling. And also some of our projects use gamification to design like long-term and large-scale studies. And lastly, another thing we learned is it's very important to develop interpretable and actionable features rather than black box feature and modeling, especially if we think about providing suggestions and also if we want to interpret our data for making clinical decisions. So for our studies, we need multi-modal, multi-field, multi-interdisciplinary knowledge, and from like sensing, data analysis, machine learning, and signal processing. We also need emotion and health well-being, learning the knowledge about those interdisciplinary field, as well as human-computer interactions. So at the last, I'd like to thank a lot of many my collaborators and also funding agencies and companies that allows us to do various kind of research in health and well-being. And I also want to introduce a little bit on our Scalable Health Labs at Rice University. So we are running various kind of interdisciplinary research in health and well-being, including bioimaging, biobehavioral sensing, and data science. And bioimaging research includes a computational camera for seeing below our skin. And we are also developing new types of wearables for chronic diseases such as diabetes and cardiovascular disease. And for biobehavioral sensing, that includes the project I introduced today, but we are sensing like stress, mental health, also sociability, and also screen use. And for data science for health, we are looking at EHR, also neural activities, also cancer research data set. And this kind of project is, most of them are very collaborative, and we work very closely with clinical partners just across the street in Texas medical centers, as well as engineering, behavioral science, and psychology partners at Rice and across Rice. And we also translate our research outcomes to startup companies and also licensing. And so this is the end of my talk, and I'm happy to take any questions on Blue Jeans, also some follow-up questions and answers through emails. Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much, Akane. Are there any questions?
Yes, I have a question.
Yes, go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah, so I'm Aditya from Northeastern University. I was wondering the data sets that you used for sleep detection, are those publicly available for other researchers?
Yes, that's a good question. Thanks for your question. And actually, we have some privacy issue in sharing our snapshot data set. So unfortunately, we are not able to share the data set. However, for newer project, I just introduced at the end of my presentation, for this NSF project, we are planning to share the identified data as well as software and hardware we use.
Thank you.
But if you want to know more about the details on sleep detection algorithm, please check our papers.
Yeah, thanks.
And also, I'm happy to follow up more about the algorithm if you want to know.
I think that's a good question. So we need to move towards somehow enabling reproducibility.
Yes.
That will help others to build upon what is being done and not having to reinvent or develop their own versions. Good. Any other questions? We're in the last minute.
I have a question.
Yes.
Hi, my name is Marta from UCSD. Wondering, in terms of the outcome, the outcome measures you guys are using in a lot of these machine learned algorithms, particularly things like mood and some of the others, they happen pretty rarely. So you're going to have your data set and that's going along minute by minute, and you might be asking your participant to talk about mood once every 6 or 7 hours. And what we found is we have a lot of issues with severe overprediction of the non-event, and then we just don't have enough events to really make good predictive capacity of the actual event. So how do you guys deal with that problem?
Yes, that's a very good question too. So, for example, in Snapshot project, we gather the self-reported mood, health, stress twice a day, like every morning and every evening. And in other project, we are collecting more like details, fine-grained, self-reported scores. Probably sometimes from every few hours to something. Then that's true. For example, sometimes we have some issues in this issue with unbalanced dataset, unbalanced labels. And for example, schizophrenia patient project, we want to predict relapse cases. However, most of the time, they are doing well, and which is great. But in terms of developing this prediction model, we have very small cases of relapse cases. And also in daily life study, for example, in mPerf studies, and I think we collected ESM, EMA about like mood and like every few hours or something. Then so we always have to take balance of this. Like we don't want to bother our participant too much, but we also want to get more data as much as possible. And so we are developing some models for like unbalanced data set. Then so instead of developing a machine learning model to detect this relapse cases, for example, we are trying to do some anomaly detection because these relapse cases can be very rare, and we tried several different methods to get rid of an unbalanced data set. So I think we are trying both, like some machine learning method for unbalanced data set, also on anomaly detection, and also so we are trying to get more data to get rid of unbalanced data set. What kind of things do you try in your data set?
So I've only really found like some of the machine learn methods for using like very small samples, but it's really tough because it seems to, I mean, it's just we're always going to have so many of the negatives, and so. But yeah, that's something.
Negative mood, for example.
No, just that the behavior is not occurring. Like it's so much.
Okay. Yes,
behavior's
yes, I agree, totally agree.
We've kind of played around with actually because some of the measures are reported, so they're not being told to us, but they're still occurring. It's not like someone doesn't have a mood all the time, right? They're constantly in a certain mood. So we've tried a little bit with like modeled data sets to kind of, like with like basically fake data, but that still doesn't really solve the problem.
Yes, sorry. I think, yeah, that's still one of the biggest challenge in our case. Also, now we are also moving toward getting more objective data. For example, this performance, the project about improving performance. We are looking at more like objective measures of cognitive performance. But still, if we ask our participant to join a PBT test or some reaction time measurement test, and which is not continuous, and so we are still thinking about what is a better way to data as continuously as possible.
Just quickly add that when doing the evaluation, it's also important to pay attention to the recall of the desired event, which may be rare events, and at the same time looking at the false positive in the large periods when the desired event is not expected or does not occur.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so I think we're way past our time. Thank you, Akane, for a wonderful presentation.
Yeah, thank you very much, everyone.
Good luck with your project, and
Thank
we'd love
you.
to have you back when you have some significant results to present.
Mm-hmm. That's great. Thank you.
Right. Thank you, everyone, for joining.